Mulan was the last Disney Studios release I saw in theatres until Wreck-It Ralph in 2012. For whatever reason, Disney turned their attention away from original 2D animations and focused more on sequels to previous Disney films and, of course, Pixar. And so did I. Pixar, I mean. The sequels... well, we'll get there. You might be wondering why I didn't include Toy Story. Because Bo Peep is irrelevant, end of. I won't be ignoring the series entirely, of course, but before we get to that, there's A Bug's Life. I was going to study these characters separately, but upon viewing this film as an adult, it's very obvious that they're all there solely to serve the plot. As a kid, Dot was my favourite. I even remember when they had character-focused box art on the VHS releases, and I refused to let my dad buy me a copy until he found one with Dot on it. On reflection, she's not that great, but she's still one of the more interesting and likeable characters of the movie. I wish they kept her more argumentative like she is in the beginning.
You're a young queen ant and your wings are too little to be-
I was talking to Mother. You're not the queen yet, Atta.
Now, Dot.
Because that's how kids really are. They're rarely as helpful and insightful as she later turns out to be. I get that it's a coming-of-age arc, but did we really need two of those? Atta has the main learning curve. She's being trained to be the queen of the colony, taking on a great deal of responsibility and burdens. That could have been interesting, and I'm glad they didn't go the princesses have to be pretty route that they could have easily done, and later did. But she's so bland. It's actually really hard to describe her. She seems to have some kind of anxiety disorder thing going on, but that's about it. The Queen gets better and better with every viewing. She's sassy.
Now, why didn't I think of that? Oh, because it's suicide.
Kind of a pervert.
You can rub lotion on me later, Shade Boy.
But she knows what she's doing, cares deeply about the colony, and has the wisdom and determination to lead them. But they're all very much in service to the plot, which makes them difficult to talk in depth about. Speaking of difficult to talk about, the sequels. Now, as far as Disney sequels go, Pocahontas 2 isn't that bad. The animation is a couple of steps down from the original, of course, but it's not god-awful. Story-wise, it probably follows what actually happened closer than the original did. And that they managed to get the original cast back just goes to show that the sequels hadn't earned their unsavoury reputation yet. My intent in studying the sequels is to see if our lovely ladies evolve or develop in any way, as well as taking a quick peek at some of the new arrivals that came along with them. Some princesses became a lot more badass than the 20th century doppelgangers. Some of them don't. Some of them are made even worse. Bear in mind, this is a character I didn't think much of even in the original. There at least she had the quirky intro to trick us into thinking she had a personality. Here, I think we're meant to remember that she had the quirky intro in the original, because she does virtually nothing in this. Like, nothing. Like, I don't know what to say. Nothing. There is one glimmer of emotion when Pocahontas first arrives in London and she can't contain her curiosity. Here she's energised, she's happy, she's genuine, it feels legitimate. Elsewhere, she sounds and acts entirely disinterested in everything around her. A prime example of this is when a bear is brought to dinner, don't ask, for the sole intent of pissing her off. But she sounds like she's pissed off because someone called her a poopy head, not because her most sacred and lived by moral has been violated right in front of her.
Your behavior is savage. You and your people are the barbarians.
And after that, she very much becomes a secondary figure, with the John Smith and Rolfe doing all the brave heroics to save someone who has been built up as entirely self-sufficient. It's not that much of a disappointment. Like I say, I didn't think she was that great to begin with, but she's definitely even more pointless here than she was in the original. This is probably my favourite of the Disney sequels, with solid animation, a plot that they at least tried to tie in with the original, and a handful of actually really awesome songs. Nala? literally serves no purpose in this movie other than as a soundboard for Simba. So fuck that, let's talk instead about her daughter, Kiara. And man, you thought Simba was an obnoxious cub? Turns out genetics get exponentially worse with each subsequent generation. When she's older, her wanting independence is a little more believable and relatable, but as a child, it's pure annoyance. The one thing done well during her childhood is her friendship with Kovu. And only the friendship. When they suddenly turn it into a romance, and I do mean suddenly,
My name's Kovu. I'm Kiara.
it all starts to go downhill. That is until she's an adult. Well, teenager. Adult? It's hard to tell with lions. Anyway, her character is much more tolerable, even though they kept her childlike wonder and playfulness, which could have been very irritating. Kiara's a pretty decent character for a Disney sequel, probably because the writers actually allowed it to have some legitimate drama. She has strong morals and ethics. She can be selfish, but then so is everyone in this film. She's willing to sacrifice herself for her father. She's even willing to sacrifice herself to save the lioness who tried to kill her. Now that's what you call decent. So overall, I really like Kiara. She's headstrong and gutsy, and yeah, she can be a bit whiny. But in this movie, a bit whiny is the best you can hope for. And from this point on, the Disney sequels were never as good as this. Join me next time, if you can stomach it, for Tarzan, Toy Story 2, and The Little Mermaid 2.